Joining us now is former Chief of Staff to Vice President Mike Pence, Mark Short, and Democratic strategist Matt Bennett. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Mark, when you look at what the president was going to take effect at midnight, and then what the president announced late Thursday in terms of just dozens and dozens of countries facing new tariff rates, do you feel like you're living in some kind of an upside-down world as a Republican when you look at the trade policies of the Trump administration now?
Yeah, Kate, is absolutely upside down. I think that Republicans have traditionally advanced trade, and there's no doubt that, when Donald Trump came on the scene in 2015, 2016, this was a core belief of his that he's always been consistent on. But it's not something that was really acted on in the first administration. It's clear he wanted to surround himself with people in the second administration who would advance this very protectionist trade policy that, Matt and I were joking has traditionally been part of the Democrat platform in the past. And so, yeah, I think it is upside down. I think it's incredibly counterproductive that the president has had markets at all-time highs. I think a lot of Americans celebrating the passage of the tax bill and tax relief coming. This wipes it all away. That basically the expense of the tariffs on every working family in America is going to counterbalance. When we talk about the amount of revenue coming in, it's not coming from foreign governments, it's coming from American citizens who are paying this tax. And so basically, when Republicans celebrate that you have hundreds of billions of dollars expected in tariff revenue, it almost feels like Joe Biden saying, hey, we just taxed Americans a few $100 billion. Aren't we all happy about that? So yeah, it's entirely an upside down world, Kate.
I mean, Matt, most countries are rushing to engage and make deals. I mean, you have the EU, the UK, South Korea. The way it's generally been described is the market. I mean, you see Asian markets are down and market futures are down as well, but that the market has kind of shrugged its shoulders, if you will, over all of this uncertainty so far. And leaders of so many nations seem to be just grudgingly accepting, because they have to, what is coming at them in terms of these new tariff increases. Even if the economic benefit is, we'll just call it debatable, is it politically a win for him potentially?
I do not think so. Remember, nobody's going to be voting except in a couple of elections in November for a year and a half, and that's going to be plenty of time for these tariffs to jack up prices. I mean, there's going to be a 50% tariff. There is a 50% tariff on Brazil, where a lot of coffee comes from. So when you go in the morning, wherever you get your coffee, it's going to be a lot more expensive, and that's going to be across the board on an array of things that Americans count on. So this is a guy who won the election principally on the promise to bring down prices, and he has done only things that will jack up prices, and this is the most egregious example of it. There is no reason to do this at all unless you think it's going to bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States, but it isn't. The tariffs are not high enough to do that, thankfully. He's too chaotic a thinker to do it in a strategic way. And so, in fact, it is making American manufacturing more expensive based on some of the materials that we have to use to build things here. No jobs are going to come back, and American families are going to pay more. So nothing about this makes sense, and it's just a huge flat tax on Americans, which hurts the poor and the middle class much more than it hurts everybody else.
And there's also, I'll add into another level of uncertainty here right now, Mark, is yesterday an 11-judge federal appeals court panel sharply criticized the Trump administration as their small businesses are taking them to court, and sharply criticized the administration's authority to impose these sweeping tariffs on foreign trading partners under this kind of unprecedented use of emergency powers. This lawsuit is likely expected to end up at the Supreme Court, but still, you think this is the big deal that people are not paying enough attention to, probably legally and politically. Why?
Well, Kate, as I've said, I think this is really bad economics, and I think it also can be damaging from a national security perspective, because I think in the first administration, where there were limited tariffs that isolated China, but I do think as well, we've not focused enough on the legal part of this. There's no precedent for using IEEPA for tariffs. As some of the judges yesterday made the case, it's not even, that word's not even in the statute. And so there's no president that's done this before. It was always something our founders provided to the legislative branch to tax the American people. And so I think he's going to lose at this at every level. But I also think the president has a unique ability that if he loses here, he'll appeal to the Supreme Court. And if he loses the Supreme Court, he'll find 232 or 301 or other avenues to continue to push this protectionist trade policy. So I do think that there's a lot of people, particularly in Republican circles, who have said, I don't need to speak out against the president. I'll let the courts do it. But I think that's a really long process, Kate. And to your earlier question about the markets, yeah, markets have been at all-time highs because on April 2nd, he delayed them. And I think there's an expectation that he's just going to keep delaying them. And now you see him going to impact. And you see what markets are doing this morning.
Real quick, Matt, I want to ask you, because Kamala Harris has sat down with Stephen Colbert for her first interview since leaving office, talked about her announcement that she is not going to be running for governor of California. Let me play this.
Recently, I made the decision that for now, I don't want to go back in the system. I think it's broken. But it doesn't mean we give up. That's not my point.
Okay, because that's what I'm hearing, like you don't want to be part of the fight anymore.
No, oh, absolutely not. I'm always going to be part of the fight.
Okay.
That is not going to change.
Joe Biden also out giving a big speech last night. What does all of this mean for Democratic politics and the Democratic Party right now?
I mean, look, we're trying to move on, and so it's not particularly helpful to put the focus back on that administration. But I certainly understand why the former vice president wants to take a step back. Losing, especially losing to Donald Trump, is unbelievably painful. And who can blame her for not wanting to launch into another big campaign for elective office right now? If she does run for president, though, it'll be really something we haven't seen in 70 years in the Democratic Party, where a former nominee who lost is going to run again. We haven't had that since Adlai Stevenson. If she does run, I think it would be very important for her to take a hard look back at the way she ran in 2019 and what happened in 2024, try to learn some of those lessons. But of course, she hasn't decided that, and we don't know if she's going to do it.
Yeah, Mark, we're out of time, but I'm going to read your thought bubble for you. You're pumped to see more Kamala Harris and Joe Biden out giving speeches.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's just keep them out there. Keep it going.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.